Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. As you can see, this time I'm looking at a Phillips tape deck. Now, you might think this is not really gaming related, but it is, sort of indirectly. I need this for my ZX81. So I've been looking for something to restore for a while, and I picked this as a candidate. It looks in good condition. It's obviously a bit scratched up, a bit dirty, very dirty actually. Look at the top there, the speaker. So it needs a strip down. Apparently it's just not going round, so it could be a belt or something wrong with the capstan, or even a motor fault or something. We'll have a look. So this is one of these ones that takes batteries as well. Yeah, I've got some of those. Are these C cells? I think they might be. Yeah, they look about the right size for 4 C cells or something to give you 6 volts. Is that right? Yeah. So looking at the side of it here, we can see we've got DC in 6 volts. I'm not sure if that's broken off. That looks a bit weird, that to me. Looks like that could have been removed. Auxiliary ear. Remote, I think, mic and volume. So that should hopefully, if I can get it working, be just the ticket for my ZX81. And it's nice and small and compact as well. That's one thing I like about it. It's fairly modern. It's not so old that you're going to get really poor quality or reliability out of it. It's just really dirty. So we'll get the screws out. There's 2 there and then 2 in the battery bay. We'll just have a look inside. So I've got the 4 screws out there. Let's just see if this will come off. Is it attached? Yeah, we've got the speaker. It's got a built-in speaker there. Is that detachable? I'm not sure. Looks like it goes down here. Yeah, there we go. It's just there's an unusual large number of wires there. One of them is for the record indicator there, that LED I think. So it's an indicator and the speaker. Then we've got the mic down here. Hopefully this, yeah, I can just pull that out and you can see that just comes out that cavity. There, the mic. So yeah, it's quite compact. There's not a lot going on there, but yeah, I'm going to be cleaning up the rollers, the capstan there, clean up anything that needs cleaning up. Just inspect these gears. Look okay, I think. Yeah, you can see the power jack is missing there, so it's going to need a power jack. I wonder if someone's been in this and swapped it out, or maybe it just ships without one. Don't know, it's very strange. It's strange to not have power jack. I could always fit something there. In fact, I will fit something there because I want to be able to power this externally, not just use batteries. But yeah, clean the heads, get some IPA and cotton buds. We've got the raised head there, I think it is. And if you want to know more about fixing things like this, audio equipment, tape decks and stuff, take a look at Miss Mad Lemon's channel. She's done loads of stuff with Commodore 64s and Amigas and things. She's really good at producing music on the Amiga, actually, using sound trackers and stuff. But some of her earlier videos, and in fact some of her recent videos as well, have been on the subject of audio equipment, tape decks like this. She's just done some work on, is it Sanyo? Yeah, Sanyo. Tape, like a ghetto blaster sort of thing. But she's done loads of Walkmans and tape decks and stuff, so she's got this the repair and restoration of these things down to a fine art, really. So yeah, check her channel out. So I think the next thing I'm going to do here now is get the screws out for the mechanism here and see if I can just, I think there's a number, that motor might be on a separate thing, I'm not sure if it's attached to this, but yeah, get the main screws out, see if I can just remove the mechanism. Yeah, so this row of keys just came straight off. Actually, it just sits there like that, and you can just literally lift it out like that. So that's really handy, because I could just take those, all off there. Well, I could take them off. Take the E-clip, the circlip off there first to get them off, but I can clean that up pretty easy. They're really sticky. I don't know what's been on there. You can see the handle here. Oh God, that's disgusting as well. Look at that. We'll clean that up. And that's one of the reasons I want to get it out of here, to clean the whole case. So yeah, it is, I think you can see as I pull this here, it is attached down there. So the motor, the part that the motor's attached to, is attached to the main part of the metal chassis there. So I'll just get that screw out, and hopefully that should then, yeah, that'll lift out now. So you can see we've got a connection here, and a connection here. So I need to make sure I get those the right way around. Just remember that the main motor here is the one nearest to there. The wire perhaps won't reach over there. It will actually. Yeah, so you could mix those up, but it's not going to be a big problem. They're probably the same sort of voltage anyway. And then we've got the head attachment here. This is not detachable. That's a pain. Anyway, I can get it out there now. I can check the belts and things. So yeah, it may need new belts. That might be the issue. But I'll just clean it up with some cotton buds and stuff. I might just take these belts off and give them a clean. That's interesting. Can you see what's happened there? Sorry, just off camera. Can you see this sponge? Is that supposed to be there? Yeah, it looks like it's stuck down, so that is. That's like, almost like self-cleaning the thing as it goes round. That's weird. I've never seen that before. Maybe it's just to add a bit of stability to it or something. I don't know. You'd think that would act as a cleaning thing there. Yeah, very odd. Anyway, let's just turn this back here again. Yeah, so I'll clean up with some cotton buds, get some fresh grease onto these gears here, just a little bit, not a lot. Clean up the rollers, clean up the heads. So often, what I usually do is the easiest way to clean the capstan here is to actually just switch the tape deck on, press play. You know, this will come across here, and the roller should start going round, and then you can just put a cotton bud and just drag it up and down as it rotates round. But you don't necessarily have to do it whilst it's powered up. You can do it this way. So we'll just go over this for a minute or two, just make sure it's all completely clean there on the surface, get any dirt off. Sometimes you've got to rough those up. I think that was one of the things Miss Mad Lemon did recently to one of her capstans, is to rough it up with a bit of sandpaper or something, you know. And I think she used a nail file or something, which is just as good, really. So in order to clean the head there, got a bit of IPA on there, just give that a bit of a rub. One thing I've learnt from doing heads, you know, disk drive heads and things in the past, is sometimes Plastex works really well where IPA doesn't. Doesn't always get any the contaminants off when you use IPA, especially where your friction's been involved, you know, where tape has been, or disc has been rubbing against the head for, you know, a long period of time. IPA doesn't always do the trick. So we'll give it a go with IPA first, but if it doesn't sound so good, I might just revisit that later with a bit of Plastex. So I'll just do the same thing with the erase head there. And clean any of these tape guides and things as well. And again, this is the sort of thing you can do when it's moving. You know, if you can access the belt whilst the thing's going round, it's easier to clean these belts. But you know, this is one way of doing it, just pulling it round and doing a bit of this. Just give the belt a bit of a clean here. It's probably going to need replacing, actually. It's come off there. It just doesn't feel like a very tight fit, and 9 times out of 10 the belts usually need replacing, and you know, worn tape decks. Although it's rotating alright, so yeah, I might give that a go. So I just quickly put some batteries in. I thought I'll just give it a try, and it's doing exactly what it's described as doing, just not doing anything at all. I don't feel any movement, don't hear. I don't hear any noise or anything, so yeah, I'm going to take the mechanism off here again, just to get access to the board, to measure a few voltages, just to make sure we're getting voltage on the board. Perhaps remove some of this glue here as well in various places, and just see what's going on with the board. So I'll measure the voltage going to the main board. We do have 6.3 volts getting to the main board. As you can see, we've got some really small SMD components and things here. Little resistors, diode, a diode over there is that. So I'm going to inspect around and measure 1 or 2 things, and I'll just report back in a minute. But we could have just one of these little small SMD components fault here. There may be an onboard fuse or something that might have tripped. It's interesting it's not got the power socket, as we've seen, you know, but that doesn't look like it's... No, maybe it's broken off. Can you see that? Yeah, I think that's broken off there, because the solder points are there, but there's none of the parts of it you know, inside here, so it's a bit weird how it would break off and then the remains of it wouldn't be floating around inside. So I've had a good inspection around the board there. I can't find anything wrong other than obviously the fact that the socket is just removed from here. It's you know, the solder points are still there. It's just like someone's pulled it from the other side or something. It's been levered off. It's bizarre, but I think this is the reason why this is not working, because typically what you get, where you've got battery, you know, any battery powered device, you need a switch so that when you plug you know, DC, you know, 6 volts DC in here into the socket, you're disabling the battery compartment, and the way those sort of things tend to work is there's a normally closed position somewhere on this switch between 2 of the contacts, perhaps, so that let's say as you push something in, it opens it up, which removes the battery power, so that you've not got it in parallel, because otherwise you would you explode your batteries effectively. You know, you're putting 6 volts DC across your batteries, and if they're not rechargeable, you know, your batteries are going to leak or explode or something. Anyway, it's not good to do that. So often you have, like say, a normally closed switch, and then when you push, your power jack in, it'll open it and disengage it. And I think that's what's happening. I'm not 100% sure. There are 3 contacts on there, so I'll have a quick look at that and see if I can work out what needs soldering where there. So on closer inspection, I've worked out what's going on here. The negative comes in here on the first pin. The middle pin is where the 6 volts would come in normally from the connector, and then the ground would normally be connected to this third pin here. And the way I've determined that, well, obviously the ground, the ground from the battery, is there, the black wire. So if I measure from here to where the red wire goes, which is down here on the the cathode of this diode here, I get 6.3 volts. That's the positive, and that's the negative. So we know that that's the negative for the battery, and that we know that that's the positive for the battery. So on the other side of this diode, on the anode, if you follow from the anode here, there's a trace that goes all the way down here to the middle pad. So that's a given, because there's a diode there. It's a given that's obviously to protect against polarity, reverse polarity. It's a given that is the positive from the DC jack, which leaves the third pin, and the third pin obviously has got to be connected to something. It's got to be either connected to the positive normally when it's closed, normally closed when the jack's not in, or it's got to be connected to negative. Now, since the negative here is not going anywhere, it's just a pad. That's all it is. There's a wire coming into the pad. It doesn't go anywhere. It has to be, by logic, the negative. So if I join those together, you'll see this is playing at the moment. It's in an ad hoc state here. It's just hanging together. If I just short out the first and the third pin there, just watch the motor. Hang on a sec. See that? There you go. It's rotating. So all I need to do is, either fit a new socket, which I'll probably do ultimately anyway, join pins 1 and 3, and then should be able to test this properly. So there are many ways to crack a nut with something like this. I could search for a connector that looks like the right dimensions and stuff there, with the right pin, spacing and stuff. But I think what I'm going to do is put a 2.1mm. I think it might be a 2.5 actually. That 2.5mm DC jack. Just widen the hole here. And fit that, it's a panel mounted one, so I can put the nuts on the inside. It should, I think, yeah, it will fit, and it'll just sit on top of the board here. There's enough space for that to coexist in there, and then just temporarily bridge pins 1 and 3. Perhaps stick a sticker underneath just saying do not use batteries on DC jack at the same time. That will do the job, because I'm only ever going to use this with a DC jack anyway. I just need to source a 6 volt DC jack, but that should be alright. I can always put a different connector on whatever DC jack you get. But I much prefer that type of connector. These the small tiny little ones like the ones that are on here, they're flimsy as hell. They break for fun when they're that small. So I much prefer for the power something a bit beefier. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to widen the hole there, mount that, solder pins 1 and 3, and then we'll just clean it up and test it. So all I've done there, as you can see, is join the ground up to that bottom pin. So it's funny how things can quickly go wrong actually when you start trying to cut circuit boards. So I was trying to cut a very small piece off here. Can you see the bit that's not used? I was trying to trim off that unused bit to accommodate the nut, and then the whole piece just broke off. So the bits, the two that are joined together, you can see there, pin 1 and pin 3, it's all irrelevant now because it's not on there. But obviously, these went somewhere on the board. There was the trace for the centre contact here, that came down there, so I've been able to just scratch off underneath and solder it on, and then the ground obviously on this side here. So what we've ended up with here is the socket and the nut, 2 wires, sorry the red looks like it's touching the black there, it's not, just joined onto the underneath of the board. So yeah, I've not got the switch to disable the battery bay, but let's say I will stick a sticker underneath, just say do not power batteries, and don't use batteries and the power DC jack at the same time. But yeah, I'm on the home run now. I could just reassemble it and test it. So there's numerous issues with this tape deck actually. If I press rewind now, watch what happens. This gear rotates. In fact, let's just put pause back on. Press rewind. You can see this gear's going round. It should be interface with that gear there. You can see, I shouldn't do that, I'll smash the teeth off. But it's not low enough. And what's happened is someone's pulled this off. Can you see the little circlip or whatever it is there? It's not really a circlip, it's just a plastic thing. So I think that needs pushing back on all the way down. Why is that not going back on now? Yeah, so it needs to be as flat as possible. Sorry, fireworks going off. It's not even bonfire night yet. And that clip needs pushing right down. Yeah, like that. I might actually try and get a circlip on there because that feels a bit warm. Let's just try that now, see if that'll rewind. Yeah. There you go, with a hair there, I saw that. And the other thing that just confused me is when I was trying to play it, I'll show you, if I stop it again, put a tape in, I couldn't find any music tapes. This is a language tape actually, it's learning Norwegian. If I press play, is it that one? It's not going round, and then I suddenly realised the pause here, because you can see the capston's not gone very far forward. If you watch the capston here, it's not making a connection with that spindle. Whereas if you unpause it, it releases it the full way and it starts to play. So I'll connect the speaker up and we'll just see if it's working. Yeah, so there we go, that's working. Obviously I need to do some more tests on this to be conclusive, but yeah, I've cleaned up the heads and stuff. It sounds like it's playing at the proper frequencies, you know, the proper speed there, there's no distortion or slowdowns or anything, so yeah, I can clean up the plastics and totally reassemble it. So I had to show you this, I could have easily covered this up. This is just total irony for you. I've spent ages pissing around with that new socket and wiring it all on. And look what's stuck to the magnet there. It's actually the socket. I can't believe that. I could have spent like 2 minutes putting that back on there. Oh, that's so annoying. That really is annoying, but there you go. I thought I'd show you. It's, yeah, inspect thoroughly. I mean, I checked everywhere inside the case, but what I hadn't done is look at the speaker, and this was just stuck on there. So with use, it must, you know, the solder points must have worn off, and it just fell off literally and just floated around in there. That's so annoying. As you can see, I took the grill off. That was the easiest way to clean that, and then I'll just clean around the cavity edge here and give the speaker a really light clean, and then obviously just the bottom part and stuff. So after all that, I reassembled it and found that this is slipping back up again when you rewind. Fast forward works okay. So get that back up there. Yeah, can you see it's like it springs up. It wants to stay down all the time. There's no reason for it to be in the up position. It's mysterious as to why that's not staying down. I think what's happened is the washer's a bit worn. Can you see the little white washer there? It needs a second washer, I think. So I'm going to find one. I've got a spring kit, you know, and a circlip kit here, and this has got washers in it as well. So I'll find a washer that's the same size and just stick a second washer in there and see if that solves it. So I ended up sticking one of those washers in there actually, and then put the white washer on top, which then acts as like a circlip. It kind of clips onto the recess of the metal shaft, and so that's held it down by an extra 0.5 millimetre. So as you can see, we've got the socket on the side there, and it's all cleaned up, looking good. Got that extra washer there to assist with the rewind. That works. Let's rewind that. It's a bit slow rewinding. The auto stop works. You can see that LED flashes blue there with the auto stop. It's quite cool. So hit play. I'll just adjust the volume here. Hopefully this will work. The problem is with this, there's no tone or, you know, bass or treble, I should say. Yeah, no bass or treble adjustment. So I might need to get another cassette player like this for the ZX81. I don't know yet.
Jeg heter Line og 12 år.
So the azimuth here, the angle that the head makes with the tape needs adjustment here. If I just press play, can you hear that's pretty flat in tone? Let me just wait for some more sound, hang on. This is the easiest way to adjust it. Hear it sharpening up, like more treble. Somewhere around there. Yeah, you're aiming to get it as clear as possible with regards to like the treble. You know, too much bass there is a problem. So we'll give that a try. I think that's probably going to fix that. So here it is loading a Spectrum game. As you can see, I've got the screen coming up here. Hopefully that's going to display okay. The volume level is perhaps not it's not perfect. I think the Azimuth just needs a small tweak, actually, a small adjustment. I think that's okay. The colours look alright, everything, but you see the lines there, the red lines don't look quite the right size, which suggests to me the Azimuth is not perfectly aligned. Actually, you know, you're going to get that with some cassettes, but we'll see if that loads, and if it does, I'll assume it's okay for the Spectrum, and then I'll just test it with the ZX81 because I've got a couple of cassettes for that as well. So as you can hear, that's actually loaded, all okay, and that was from batteries, incidentally. So one thing I have found while testing, these batteries haven't been used very much at all. Now they've been sat on the shelf for a year, so you know, from new, but batteries, yeah, they're not very reliable. I found that the motor and stuff doesn't run exactly the same speed and stuff when you're using batteries. It might be because there's very little in the way of regulation on there, I'm not sure. You'd think that the same regulation would apply to the 6-volt DC, you know, jack going in, but that's going to be pretty stable, whereas these are going to gradually deteriorate in terms of the power and stuff. But so I found, you know, just adjusting the volume a little bit, just reducing it a tiny little bit from 100%, and using the power adapter there, it's working fine. So just about to load a bit of 49er here for the ZX81. This was a game I had as a child. I was pretty young, about 9 or something, or 8 or 9 when I got this. You can see there was amazing user-defined graphics. You know, the ZX81 didn't have a graphics mode really. I think it was all character based, and someone managed to do some clever programming to get graphics on this. So this was quite unheard of at the time, actually, on the ZX81. Most of the games were really basic text-based type games, or games that use text, you know, sprites and things move around like a block at a time and stuff, rather than pixel type animation. So you can see it loading there on the Commodore 1084S monitor. I've had to use that monitor because on an LCD, as soon as you start to load, these bars here, obviously, you know, it's part of the video signal. The video signal goes screwy, so that's how it looks when you see it, you know, when you're viewing it in composite on an old analog TV or a CRT like this. But on the LCD, you know, modern LCD screen or a plasma or whatever, it can't lock onto the sync there. I think the composite signal is so screwy in what it's actually outputting. You can't see anything, and I think that's just inherent design of the way the ULA was, you know, designed on the ZX81. It's let's try to do two things at once, you know. So it's not outputting a true composite signal. It's got like maybe the porches and things are missing, or there's something not quite right there. The timing's out. So a modern LCD or plasma or something, you know, can't lock onto that signal, and you just get a blue screen, you know, like that. You know, it just does nothing. So we'll just need to leave that for several minutes. So it's a bit blurry, that. Leave that for several minutes. It's probably over bright, that's why it's not focusing. And I'll come back once it's loaded. As you can see there, I managed to load it from tape. It took an awful lot of messing around. Must have spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours messing around with volume levels and things. It needs about 80-ish%, maybe somewhere between 80 and 90%. And you can see a couple of corruptions there. They were always like that. I remember that back in the day. So I'm not sure whether that was just a bug or something, you know, that they couldn't correct when they released it. If I press a key now, hopefully that should start. Yeah, okay, so do you wish to refine? Yes, so we'll do up Q, down, that's A, O, P, I, because that's next to O, skill level 1. So this is the first time I've seen this in, well, must be 30 years. Or more, actually, yeah, so it's a bit like Dig Dug. You have to dig, you know, you move your little miner there around to like the gold nuggets. And I think, oh, there's a rat. Has it crashed? It's crashed. There you go, that's the reliability of the ZX81 for you. Nevertheless, it did actually load. I'm not sure whether it's just the power supply is a bit glitchy. I might check the power supply out on the ZX81 at some point just to make sure it's giving out a nice clean supply, but that's probably going to be part of the problem. They're always glitchy, these ZX81s, but anyway, at least it managed to load okay. I always remember, but I don't know why, as a child, because I was quite young when I got this, I was quite afraid of that gremlin at the top there on the right. Anyway, hopefully you found it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Og 2 søsken på